Yep.
All right, guys, we got Coach Drinkwitz. We'll start with an opening statement from Coach, and we'll get going from there.
Yeah, good day today. We're going to need to mute one of these two computers.
There you go.
Good day today. Effort was good. Obviously, second day install in the red zone. There's going to be some bang plays. There's going to be some good on both sides of the ball. A couple of communication mistakes on both sides, a couple penalties we got to continue to clean up. My focus right now is Mizzou. Mizzou's got to improve. In order for us to have an opportunity to win football games, we can't beat ourselves. And that's really the message today. And with that, I'll open up for questions.
First one comes from Peter Baugh. Peter, go ahead.
Don't sneak two in, Peter.
All right, I won't. I was just curious what the process is for, do you do captains on your teams, and how do you choose them?
Yeah, we do captains. There'll be a team vote. Sometime we get closer to the season when all the waters are a little bit clearer. But yeah, we'll have captains and we'll vote on them. It's a team deal. Captains are based on the representation of the team and who they believe the leaders are.
All right, Gabe, go ahead.
Eli, when you started looking at this roster last December, how'd you kind of, when you go after a grad transfer, what's the thought process there? And you've got three guys, so obviously you saw some immediate need there when you started looking at things.
I don't mean to correct you, but we got four. And what we're looking for is immediate help, depth in competition. And that's the number one thing. We want somebody who can come in immediately and compete for a starting position. Nothing's given to them. Everything's earned. They got to come in here and earn it. But at each position that we felt like we needed to take a grad transfer, we obviously felt like there was a need in unproven depth. And so that's what we did. And I didn't mean to punk you like that, Gabe, but, Chris, you gave me a layup. I took that one off the rim.
All right, Sweetie, go ahead.
Hey, Eli, remember back in December, you were talking about how much of an adjustment it was becoming a head coach, and all of a sudden, you have to care about both sides of the ball, I guess. Entering your first training camp here at Mizzou, I guess, what is that adjustment like in your second year, and just how much communication you have, in terms of the whole team and not just the offense?
Yeah, I address the team every day. I communicate with the defensive staff. Obviously, throughout practice, have great lines of communication with Coach Walters. And then during practice, usually the only communication I have with the defense is when I'm trash talking.
Nate Edwards, go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Coach, over the past 4 years, defensive end has been a position of a lot of opportunity for growth. In the past couple of practices, have you seen any defensive ends really pop or stand out in your eyes?
Yeah, I think we've got 8 senior defensive linemen. We've got a lot of multiplicity. That's a new word for me. We got a lot of multiple options for the defensive end position, and we've got guys who play, in a 4-eye technique, but also can slide out and rush the passer. And Coach Walter's scheme does a lot of different movements, so it gives people a chance to be one-on-one in the pass rush moves. So, I absolutely think there's some guys that are going to step up. Look forward to seeing Chris Turner and Trey Williams, 2 guys that come to the top of my head, that Cy Martin, 3 seniors with length and toughness and great motors that, we need to get pressure on the quarterback, and those 3 guys can do it for us.
Dave Matter, go ahead.
Eli, now that you have a schedule and you know who you're playing when, what's the timeline like? How do you go about start getting ready and preparing for that first opponent? I know it's 5 weeks and change away, but how's that process work for you?
Yeah, the message to the team last night and everybody else is Mizzou's worried about Mizzou right now. Mizzou's got plenty of issues to fix that we've got to work on. And, if we start focusing on week 1 opponent right now, we're going to miss laying the foundation and improving. And so that's what we're focused on. We'll spend the better part of 18, probably 19 practices on Mizzou, working different scenarios, working red zone, 4-minute, 2-minute, backed up, game ending before half, last plays of the game, second to last plays, all the different scenarios that could come up, and we'll make sure that we rep those make sure we're ready for those situations. And then once we get to that, we'll get into game week for week 1. But right now, our priority is Mizzou.
Mitch Forney, go ahead, Mitch.
Eli, girls, 2 senior safeties, Tyler Gillespie and Josh Bledsoe have obviously played a lot at this level, but they've also played together a lot. I'm curious, when you watch those guys, if that's something that you can see, and if so, how so?
Yeah, I mean, those guys do a great job communicating on the back end. Our defense has a lot of different communication pieces. We've got to identify who's covering who, how we're going to cover it, what's our change-up's going to be. And those guys, make sure they're the quarterbacks of that. They also do a really nice job of disguising. They know their own strengths and know how far they can, show one thing and be in another. And so really look forward to those guys being the leaders and catalysts of our defense.
Corte Vincent, you're up next. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Yesterday you spoke about the quarterback competition going into this season, and I was just wondering, since camp is going to be so abbreviated, if there's any chance that it will maybe carry into the season a couple games.
Yeah, I mean, it could. Yeah, I mean, whenever we decide on who our quarterback is, yeah, we'll figure that out. Maybe it's tomorrow. Maybe it's, 6 weeks from now. I don't really know. So we're not in any rush. Those things usually reveal themselves pretty easily, and so we'll figure it out. And I'll just break the news for y'all now. I ain't announcing it, so don't worry about it. Week 1, that we ain't telling nobody, and everybody's gonna have to guess, and it's gonna be used as an advantage for us. So there you go. That's the announcement today.
Natalie Jones, go ahead, Natalie.
Didn't like that, did you, Gabe? But you know what? That's good stuff.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. Obviously, crowds are such a big part of college football games. So I'm curious about your reaction to, playing in front of 25% capacity in Furrow Field.
Hey, Natalie, how are you? Who's playing in front of 25% capacity?
Mizzou football.
We are? There you go.
That was announced yesterday.
Who announced it? I didn't know. Yeah. I don't feel. I guess the answer would be I don't feel any type of way about it. Obviously playing in front of big crowds and getting your juice and all that in those stadiums in this league is a lot of fun. So if we got to go to 25%, that's what we got to do. We'll make the most of it.
Max Baker, go ahead.
I hadn't had a lot of time on Twitter yesterday, Natalie. Sorry.
I guess defensively, how you sort of relying on the guys, you're focusing on the install, and you said you don't have a lot of communication with the defense during practice.
I didn't say I don't have a lot.
Except minus the trash talking in practice. How much are you relying on the guys that have, been there for a few years and the 2 coaches that you hired that have been there defensively?
I hired 5 coaches on defense. Ryan Walters. That's the defensive coordinator. That's who I visit with every single day. Last week during mini camp, we all watched the film together, offense and defensive staff. I'm completely in tune with exactly what the defense is doing, with exactly what special teams is doing, exactly what the recruiting's doing. I have communication with those guys on a daily basis. I know what each person's talking about in each position meeting. So, during practice, I talk trash because they're in man-to-man and if we beat them or whatnot. But it's not because I don't know what's going on and I don't rely on 2 coaches or 4. I talk to Coach Walters. He's the defensive coordinator. That's who I hired to be the defensive coordinator. Every day after practice, we visit about it. We talk about what's going in the next day. We communicate about what we need to help each other out. So, yeah. I don't know if that answered your question, but.
Eric Blum, go ahead, Eric.
Kind of as a follow-up to that, I know you said back in December that you kept Coach Gibbs, Coach Haley, and Coach Walters on, as the 3 guys you kind of identified that had the strengths from the defensive side in 2019. To have those 3 coaches back now, is it still integral to the process to have 3 returning coaches who have been here before and have kind of been through Mizzou Fall Camp before?
No, because they've never been through Mizzou Fall Camp with me as the head coach.
Colin, go ahead, Colin.
Hey, Coach, I was just curious if there was anything that you sort of along those lines that you do that's unique to you in terms of fall camp that's outside of scheme or anything like that, just with how you go about preparing practice 1, practice 2?
I don't know if it's unique to me. I mean, we have our process that we go through. We have, 3 goals for fall camp. Number 1 is challenging. We want to challenge our players. Nothing forms unity better than facing adversity together. And if it doesn't challenge you, it don't change you. We want to lay the foundation for our offense, defense, and special teams. And we want to become us. That's goal number 3, us, our team, 2020 Mizzou. And, no offense to the question before, but each year is totally different. And regardless of whoever's been here before, it's a totally different schedule. It's totally different how we do fall camp. It's not the last year's team and 3 coaches that we kept on. It's our identity to what we're doing here. It's those guys. I asked them if they wanted to have a job, and they chose to stay. All 3 of them had the opportunities to go other places. So it has nothing to do with previously. They may keep the same schemes, but we're still adding new things. Yes, we do a lot of different things throughout fall camp. And quite honestly, I don't tell everybody what we do, but we do a lot of things that are, we have some fun, we have some energy, we have, some things that are grinding. I mean, that's what fall camp is.
All right, guys, I don't see any more hands raised. Does anybody have anything else before we let Coach go? Mitch, it looks like you got one more.
Yeah, Eli, a couple, I guess last week, some of the guys on defense identified Kobe Whiteside as someone who's a leader off the field and just kind of keeping people accountable as far as mask wearing and being smart and all that. I'm curious if you've seen any of that leadership from him just in terms of keeping guys accountable.
Crap, have you seen Kobe Whiteside? He's got a body of a Greek god. If that guy told me to put on a mask, I'd put on a mask too. Yes, he is a leader. He does a nice job of his personal life and his on-the-field life match. He lives a low-drama, off-the-field life, takes care of his body, does things the right way, and then he performs well on the field. And when you do that, you have credibility when you speak to your teammates about what they're doing off the field. And I think that's the thing that we all appreciate and love about Kobe. And, I wish I had arms that size.
Eric Blum, go ahead.
Just a point of clarification from something you said earlier. You mentioned that you're not going to announce a starter, and I know you're not going to change that based off of anything I ask you. But
go ahead, Art. Go ahead, Eric. Ask me who the starter is.
No. I'm going to ask you, is that similar to what you've done as an offensive coordinator in the past and at App State as well? And if so, what are the advantages? Why the change this year then?
I've never done that before.
Then why the change this year?
Because, Eric, the person who's going to play us first has no idea if they're going to scout Washington tape, UAB tape, TCU tape, App State tape, NC State tape. They don't know which quarterback to prepare for, whether they're going to watch high school tape from a kid. They don't know if they're going to watch the Arkansas game from last year, the Georgia game from last year, or TCU game from 2 years ago. I'm just creating a workload for somebody. So poor GAs and QCs.
Gabe, go ahead.
Yeah, Eli, I know in the past the rule has been two practices to get acclimated before you can go full pads. Are you guys going full pads tomorrow? Will you get that going, or is it different this year?
It's a 5-day acclimatization period. It's 2 days in helmets, 2 days in shells, 1 day full pads. So tomorrow will be a shells day, which is just your helmet, shoulder pads, and you can wear your girdles as protection. So that's what we'll be in tomorrow. No tackling.
Sweetie, go ahead. We'll close it with you.
Cool. Eli, I know you can't mention specific COVID numbers. I was just wondering, though, if you can disclose how often your players are being tested. I know during the season it's 3 times a week.
We tested everybody last Saturday. We've got another round of tests, I think Thursday this week on our off day, and should be once a week moving forward. And it'll be a combination of surveillance testing and everybody testing. I don't know if I think we're into the NCAA where everybody has to be tested, but whatever the administration tells me, it's not my call. It's up to our administration, our repopulation task force, and our training staff on when we get tested. But I believe Thursday is the next time we'll be tested.
All right, with that, we'll let Coach go. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Sorry to disappoint everybody about not naming a starting quarterback.